Hey, welcome back to 3 poses a day for 30 days to relax the pelvic floor. I'm Tracy and today's posture will be on the ground. We are starting with a wide-legged forward fold. We will transition into pigeon and I'll give you a modification for a figure 4 in case you have sore knees. And then we'll transfer into a thread the needle posture. The only prop I really recommend today is having a blanket to sit on or maybe a pillow. That's about it. So pause the video, grab your gear, and we'll get started. All right, first posture today is a forward fold, wide-legged. So I invite you to sit on a blanket so that you can make sure you're in front of the sits bones. And the reason for that is you want to make sure the pelvis is in neutral. And the best way to do that is to pull the tailbone back just enough to make sure you have a natural curve in the lumbar spine. So adjust your booty as much as you need to, and you can even get a higher pillow or more blankets. That's fine too. Now we'll extend both legs out wide instead of down the center as we've done earlier in this series. Nice and wide. And if you are like me, you do not have very flexible hamstrings, and that's okay. You can definitely bend the knees as generously as you need to. Just make sure you're not collapsing in. They should be nice and straight. If you can lengthen your legs all the way out, I seem to only be able to do one at a time today. That's okay too. Just make sure you don't lock out the knees. So legs are extended, the toes are pointed back toward the head. And if you feel the stretch in the hips here and are starting to feel a stretch in the thighs as you're sitting tall in front of the sits bones, then this is where you're staying, no problem. If you have a little more to give, a little more flexibility, you want slightly deeper stretch, then you can put the hands in the center of the body. Make sure the spine is nice and elongated. The chin is slightly tucked so you have a natural curve in the spine all the way from the lumbar spine to the top of the head. And in this case, you'd gradually bring the body forward, not rounding the back, but super important the back stays nice and straight. And that's it. I know it sounds like it should be easy, but especially for those of us living with pelvic floor concerns, this is a really good stretch, but it can be a little challenging. So let's join in this together. Remember, legs are wide, only as wide as feels comfortable. If you need to bring them together, that's fine too. We'll inhale nice and big, making sure the belly's moving with the inhale. And exhale, lean forward, only as far as feels comfortable to deepen the length of the stretch. And we'll be here for 6 breaths. Remember, every inhale, the chest expands, the rib cage expands, and the belly pops out. One more inhale. On the exhale, use the fingertips to gently press you back to a seated position with a tall back. And that is our wide-legged version of our posture today. Next up is pigeon, but if you have knee problems, I want to give you another option. So you can actually do a seated figure 4 instead. In that case, the right leg is extended out, the left leg crosses over the right, and you're just hanging out here. You can use the left hand to press that leg down further if you need to. You can also bend this right knee, but the idea is you want to feel a nice stretch in the outer left portion of the leg. So there's your first option. If you are okay with trying pigeon, I recommend grabbing a nice blanket that you can fold, or a pillow would work too. So here I have my folded blanket. I'm going to put it on the left side of my body. Rest my hip on the blanket so that I can keep my pelvis in neutral. Left leg, the knee can be at 90 degrees or bent. And the right leg comes all the way back with the top of the foot on the floor. And this is the first version of the posture. So here, the hips are nice and level, pointed toward the ground. I'm not rotating outward. If you need a deeper stretch, you can adjust the leg. Bring this left leg so that the knee comes up to 90 degrees if you want. Or, keeping the hips parallel to the floor, you can lean forward. Rest the head on a block. Just hang out here, whatever works best for your body today. But the important thing to ensure your pelvis is in neutral is that the hips are in line and they're pointed toward the floor and the spine is nice and straight. So I'm not rounding the back. I'm not tucking the tailbone. I'm nice and natural, straight back. So I invite you to join me and we'll get into this together. So again, the left hip is all the way on your blanket. It's folded. Left leg can be whatever position you want. It depends on how you're feeling today. Right leg extends back. Point the toes. Top of the foot's on the floor. And lean forward, but only if it's comfortable for you. And this should give you a nice deep stretch on that outer left hip. All right, we're here for 6 breaths. Don't forget, the belly should move with every inhale, every exhale. One more full breath in and out. We'll inhale one more time. And on the exhale, very gently bring yourself out of the posture and we'll switch sides. So if you're doing a figure 4 instead, now's when you're going to extend the left leg, cross the right leg over. Again, in front of the sits bones. For everyone else, move your blanket. Rest your right hip completely on that blanket. Bend the right knee and extend the left leg back. Feet are pointed. Top of that left foot's on the floor. And really focus on adjusting the hips so the hips are level, parallel to the floor. And if you need to deepen your stretch, you can come down onto the forearms or even all the way onto the floor. Find what feels good. Really focus on checking in on those hips, making sure they're nice and level. You can even activate that left leg and straighten it a little more if you need a deeper stretch. All right, you know where I'm going with this. 6 deep breaths. Relax the neck. Be mindful of the hips. Nice straight spine. One more full breath. Big inhale. Feel the belly press out. Long exhale. One more inhale. And on an exhale, we'll come back up out of this. You can lean toward the right slightly to help you. And then we will transition to thread the needle. All right, with thread the needle, if you have problems kneeling on the ground, I definitely recommend kneeling on a blanket or a pillow. The knees should be hip distance apart. The hip should be directly above your knees, so you're not hanging out here. So we can start by coming into table. And the way this will work, the right hand extends forward. The left shoulder drops toward the ground and the left hand comes through. So a few different options here. You can actually drop onto your forearms and just hang out here if it's too much for the twist. Remember, everyone should be pulling the tailbone back. Don't tuck the tailbone under, constantly pulling back to maintain a nice straight spine. You can come this way. That works too, without the straight arm on the right, just resting down And if the shoulder doesn't come all the way down, that's fine. Just make sure that the hips don't move when you thread the needle. So the booty is pointed up, your hips are parallel to the floor, tailbone pulling back. Find what works best for you today. This is the last of our 3 postures, and don't forget your deep breaths. All right, here we go. We're going to thread the needle. So that left arm comes down, coming through, bending the right arm or keeping it straight, however is comfortable for you. Really focus on pulling the tailbone back toward the back of the head. And relax. Deep breaths. We're here for 6. Make any adjustments as we go along if you need to. One more inhale. Long exhale. One more breath in. And on the exhale, very gently bring your body out of it. And we'll switch sides. I'll actually stay here instead of swapping around, so you'll see my back. Normally I don't do it that way, but I think it might be useful. Alrighty. Again, adjust the legs. Make sure the knees and the hips are in line. We'll inhale together. And on the exhale, drop the right shoulder to the ground, threading the right arm underneath the left. Adjust the body if you need to. Tailbone constantly pulling back, nice straight spine. And we're here for 6 last breaths. Make sure the hips are parallel. One more inhale. Long exhale. One more big belly breath. And then we'll bring the body back up on the exhale. And there you have it. That is it for class 11. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you tomorrow for class 12. Thanks for coming. I'm really glad you're here. Be well. Namaste.